Hey, what's up guys? Tony here, and welcome to another episode of Tuesdays with Tony. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about respect. Okay, so respect. And before I get started, what I should say is that this video is actually requested by DC. On last week's video, when I talked about opinions, he's like, hey, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts about respect. And I thought, you know what? Hey, that's a good idea. I have yet to have someone request a topic for me. And so I figured, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and tackle this one right now and get it done. So that way it just doesn't get put on the back burner and get ignored, because that would be rude. And I think it's a great topic anyways, and I really welcome if you guys have suggestions for topics. If I know something about it, or if I have an opinion about it, then I'll go ahead and express it here, and we can have a conversation, you know, a dialogue in the comment section of the video, as I really enjoy having with you guys. So let's talk about respect. So here's the thing that it's kind of a cliche now, but I think it really works, is that respect is earned. Respect is not given, it is earned. And I believe that. Now, there are some things about the phrase that don't really fly with a lot of people. For instance, you need to show respect for your parents, teachers, law enforcement, you know, your elders, when you're a kid. So the idea of that respect is not automatically given, it's earned, doesn't really apply when you're a child, or if you're, I don't know, say like an early teen or something like that, because you're supposed, you know, in society you're a subordinate figure, and you just don't have a place, and it sounds really shitty to say, but that's just the truth. It's when you start to get older that you run into those issues of respect. And I've run into a lot of issues of respect in my life, and it's weird now being a full-grown adult, like a real adult, and not just like an early 20-something adult. And looking back on these issues, because when I was younger, I would say that my opinions would have been probably different. I would be more along the lines of thinking that respect, respect came, only because of being earned. You have to earn my respect. It's like the hard-headed, because you go through this transitionary period when you're a kid. You're told to respect your parents, your teachers, police officers, whomever, elders, like I said. So you're told that you must respect these people. You must always show respect to these people, and you do. And then when you start to get a little older, you get in your teenage years, especially when you start to become sort of a half citizen, if you will. You get up to the age where you can start driving. So when you're that age, you can start driving, 15, 16 years old. You've earned this, you have earned this responsibility. You've been able to drive. It's quite a responsibility. A lot of people take it for granted, but it's an incredible responsibility, because you're putting your life and the lives around you. You're sort of having to have that responsibility of holding those lives. And I guess that's not, it was really bold to be like, you have those people's lives in your hands. Maybe if you're driving a bunch of people around, that's the case. But if you're driving around, you have a certain level of responsibility that you must uphold to, and you need to be a good driver, so you don't crash into anybody and cause an accident and maybe hurt somebody. So there's a lot of responsibility that comes with driving. And so with that increased responsibility, we automatically feel that there should be an increased respect, because responsibility really equals respect. I mean, the more responsibility you have, the more respect you get. I mean, you look at, politicians and the president. You look at the president. The president's a great example, because there's nobody above him. He is the commander-in-chief. He is our president. He's the top guy for 4 or 8 years if he gets reelected. And so people don't refer to him by his first name. Maybe like his wife and close friends and stuff. But if you go, to the White House and you happen to see President Obama, you're going to call him Mr. President, because that's a sign of respect to him and to his, not to him as a person, but to the position that he's in, to the position of the president. That's where you're respecting that position. He just happens to be occupying that position, so he's Mr. President. You wouldn't call him, Barack, or Mr. Obama. That's a sign of disrespect, not only for the man who holds the office, but for the office itself. So that's kind of a bigger picture aspect of it. But when you're looking at, say, people, and maybe like on a small scale, just individuals, the one thing that comes to my mind is, do unto others. That's a very popular one, do unto others. And that's a short version of, I think it's like do unto others as you wish them to do to you or something like that. So the whole do unto others thing is basically you show the amount of respect for someone that you want them to show to you in return. And so it's this sort of a cyclical event. You know, you give them, you know, I don't know, a fair amount of respect, and they'll give you a fair amount of respect. And when they don't reciprocate that respect to you, then you know, okay, this person's kind of a dick, and I don't have to be as respectful to them. The problem comes when you start to get older and you run into these situations where you start to feel as if you deserve more respect because you're becoming more of an adult, you're becoming more responsible, you feel as if you're coming of age, and your parents don't view you as somebody that, you know, deserves a certain level of respect. And you can get conflicts that way. And I have had actually one conflict that I'll share with you guys right now with my father. And at the time I was living in Santa Barbara and had my own house. And I was living with a roommate, and we had our own rules and our own way of doing things. And I must have been 23 or something at the time. So really young, relatively young, you know. Thought I knew everything about everything, and but I was living on my own, and I felt like a man, like a real complete person. Like, you know, I was not living with my parents. I was out there doing it on my own. And so I had come down over the weekend to my parents' house, and they were out grocery shopping or something on a Sunday, and I was taking these theater classes while I was up in Santa Barbara. And I had arranged these chairs outside. They were not like nice dining chairs, but they were just, you know, these old sort of dining chairs that my parents had. And so I put them outside in sort of the shape of the set. And my dad came home, and he was just really abrasive, and he was mad because I had moved the chairs outside. And it wasn't as if it was just like, you know, hey, you know, don't put the chairs outside. I mean, he was just like a flat out dick to me. And I had called him on it. I was just like, I asked my mom, like, hey, why is Dad in a bad mood? Do you guys have a fight or something? And she's like, no, we had a great, you know, day. I don't know what's going on. And I was like, what the hell? Why is he being an asshole? You know, and that set my dad off. He was like, what did you say? I'm just like, you're being an asshole. Why are you being an asshole? And so for him, me calling him an asshole was showing him disrespect as my father. I was not respecting him properly as my father, but on the flip side, I, being an adult, was being treated in a way that I didn't feel as if I was not, I was expecting a certain level of respect from my father because I'm an adult, I'm 23 years old, I'm living on my own. You know, I would expect a better communication than just being mad without like, hey, look, this is what's going on. Don't move the chairs outside. You know, oh, okay, cool. Sorry, I didn't know. Harmless. I mean, it was a harmless incident that escalated into a very big verbal fight that actually sent me home. I decided it was a Saturday. No, was it Sunday? It was. I know. Actually, no. I think it was a Saturday. So it was a Saturday. So I had come down Friday night. This happened Saturday, and then Saturday night, I was like, I'm leaving. I'm going home. You know, I don't want to put up with this shit. You know, because we had a couple really big just blowouts that day. You know, we took some time off to try to cool down, and then we got back into each other's faces. And then I thought that I was going to come to blows with my father, and thank God I didn't. But it was a weird situation, and I just went home. And on the way home, my dad called me. He's like, "Hey, are we gonna be all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, we'll be fine. You know what? It's just, you know, we'll have our space for a little bit." The weird thing about that, though, is after we had that fight, my dad and I, we had a sort of a closeness. You know, there was this weird sort of newfound respect for one another. My dad saw that, like, I had a line, and I still respected my father because I told him, hey, look, I'm sorry, you know what, I understand why you're upset, but you need to understand why I'm upset, you know. And we talked it out and we worked it out. And so from that day forward, there's this new, we've had this new sort of relationship. You know, my brothers, my older and my younger brother, you could see it when my dad gets mad, or when my dad and I are starting to get into it and we're getting very vocal, and we've gotten very vocal with each other. My older brother, he's just sort of shies away, but I'm right there toe to toe with my dad. I'm not willing to, you know, have a shouting match with him, and they've happened since then, but it's just the way it goes. So I guess in a nutshell, the whole idea is just to, as far as respect is concerned, and sort of this hitting upon the last episode about opinions, just respect the other people that you know. Treat them with the level of respect that you expect to be treated. And the other thing is if you're a younger person and you're in a situation where you don't feel as if you're being respected to the degree in which you feel you deserve this respect, understand that people sometimes don't recognize that. But the thing not to do is to blow up. It's the situation, the story that I told you is a little different because I was living on my own. I had my own place, you know, I had my own life. It's different when you have to live in someone's house and you're sort of a subordinate. That's the hard part. If you're a subordinate and you're living in someone's house and say you're underage, you know, 16, 17 years old, or even if you're 18 or 19, you're living in someone's house, you really have to show them a certain level of respect. But then again, at the same time, you should be afforded a little more respect than, say, a 13, 14, 15-year-old person. So anyways, I hope you guys liked this episode. It was nice to get the suggestion in the comment section. So if you guys have any suggestions for any future episodes, let me know in the comment section. So thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I'll talk to you guys later.